All right, everybody. Welcome to the Next Level Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Ant-Man Z, as always, with my man, Andrew Crash Nash. And tonight, we're bringing you another game preview. We've got the Cotton Bowl. We got the 12-2 Ohio State Buckeyes against the 13-2 Texas Longhorns. And wow, this is going to be a game. I really feel this is going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be an all-out war. I'm excited to see what happens. And just quickly, I'll drop what Vegas has on the game. It's got Ohio State by 6 and the under and over at 52. That's quite a spread. So Vegas is expecting a shootout also, obviously, with 52 points. And I probably wouldn't even be afraid to take the over in that. And they have Ohio State winning by 6. So how do you feel about that, brother?
Well, this is where my expertise comes in, and I'm going to go ahead and shock everybody. And I'm going to go ahead and beat Vegas on this one. I'm going to say that Ohio State wins by at least 17.
Wow. Yeah, that's a bold prediction. I like that. Now, do you still feel that way, considering that many people are seeing this as a somewhat like a home game, considering that the game is played in Arlington, Texas? There's going to be a lot of native Texans there ready to cheer their team on to victory. You think that has any effect?
You know, home field advantage does, of course. I believe in home field advantage. But the way that we saw Ohio State come out, let's include, we have forgot Chip Kelly's behind the scene as offensive coordinator, guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why they're capable of putting up such big points too.
Chip Kelly, man, spent time in Oregon. You know, everybody's not talking enough about Chip Kelly behind the scenes in this offense.
So let's talk about some of his products then that are on the field, because even though he might not get the praise he always deserves with it, there are two people on the field that really are, and that's the wide receiving core of the Ohio State Buckeyes. You got Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Egbuka. These guys are absolutely lighting up the scoreboard. I think one of them has 10 touchdowns on the year. The other one has 9. Combined, they have over 1,700 yards and over 100 catches. So these guys have been absolutely lighting up the scoreboard. They're a highlight reel in the making, are they not?
Absolutely. You know, I've been high on Jeremiah Smith from the beginning of the year. I was so impressed with him, the athleticism. What are you going to do? Cover these guys man? You're not going to go man on them because they're going to beat you man. Then you go into zone. They know where to go. They know how to find the soft spots and just sit in the zone, Anthony.
Yeah. These guys are going to be big time NFL players too, because really that's the secret of the game right there, is learning how to play your position and being in the right place at the right time so a quarterback can make a play. I've got a few more guys that I like as far as Ohio State goes, because of course I think the biggest storyline though is going to be the wide receiving core of the Ohio State Buckeyes versus that secondary of the Texas Longhorns. I think that's the game right there. Yeah.
I got a little different of a view, and that's cool. So I'll tell you the person that I believe that's going to make the difference is Henderson, the back.
Yeah.
He's shifty. He's explosive. I'll tell you what, I'm even predicting 2 things. You heard it here first. Jeremiah Smith by next year will be a Heisman candidate, even as a wide receiver. You heard it here. And this back, Henderson, I believe he's going to be a playmaker, a difference maker in this game. They're going to be covering these wide receivers, and they do this play with him. It's a counter. Be careful and watch this. It's a counter play with him, Ant. And I truly believe that he's going to break a big one. He's going to be a difference maker in this game. Let's see if I'm correct.
I think I can subscribe to that too, because he's been a little bit of an unsung hero this year. You know, he only had a little over 100 rushing attempts, but I don't know if anyone knows this stat. He averaged over 7 yards per carry. That is an unbelievable yards per carry average. And if they get anywhere near that in this game, it's going to be because he does that. He breaks a big one.
Yeah. And also the quarterback play. Oh my God.
Who do you like there? I mean, you got Will Howard versus Quinn Ewers. Who do you think is the got the advantage there?
Will Howard, man. He's calm, collective in the pocket. I believe he's going to have. He may not have a lot of time at first, but I
Yeah.
believe somewhere in there he's going to be able to. He doesn't make a lot of errors or mistakes. He's mature. He's another one of these players we talked about that's very mature and comfortable in the pocket. Compared to Ewing.
Yeah. Well, Ewers, but you know what?
Ewers. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So remember this though. He did have one bad game. Howard did. Howard had one bad game, and it was against my boys, the Michigan Wolverines.
Right.
And that really sent his entire stat line into the dirt, to be honest with you. I mean, he was looking like a possible Heisman, mentionee, at least because of his numbers, and those took a nosedive just from that game alone. His completion percentage went down, the rating went down. That was affected greatly. Now, if you remember, there was one quarterback who will be playing tonight who did have a very good game against Michigan in week 2, and that is Quinn Ewers. He lit them up when they played Michigan earlier this year. Now, of course, a lot of people think that the Michigan game was a fluke in a sense. But I do remember just a few weeks ago, people were calling for Ryan Day's head. I don't just mean job.
Right.
They wanted his head. So I think this is a turn, because now look at how hot Ohio State is. They've absolutely pulverized the first 2 opponents in this playoff championship. And no one thought that they were going to handle Oregon as easily as they did.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, I'm just not with is
Ewers.
Ewers. I'm just not, I've been a big fan. Why not put the Peyton Manning kid in, right? I believe I'm not the only one that has said that.
Oh no, there's chance for that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not sold on him, bro. I just, in the big moments, and I'm just sensing that this is going to be one of these games that they're going to game plan. They're going to do some things that's going to change things and mix things up, add pressure. I believe for both these quarterbacks at first, but I also see what you are seeing in vision. It's going to be a shootout. I'm having it by at least the end quarter before halftime. I'm looking for Ohio State to go up. Not quite like they did Oregon, but I'm looking for them to kind of try to pull away a little bit. It'll be closer though.
It's funny you say that, because even though I like Quinn, I think he's a competent quarterback. I don't see him being able to pull anything off in this game either. It doesn't matter that he did well against Michigan. This is Ohio State. They have one of the best secondaries in college football, between having Caleb Downs and Lathan Ransom. And those guys are just going to be wreaking havoc on the field. It's what freed up Ohio State's linebacking core throughout this entire season. Those guys are able to go absolutely ballistic on blitzes and stopping the run games because of how good the secondary play is out of those 2 safeties. And if they play up to their potential, Quinn's going to have himself a very, very difficult time throwing the ball, and Texas is going to have a difficult time running the ball.
Yeah, I believe so. And this Caleb Downs, look, man, he's another one of these playmakers. He also, let's remember, receives kicks or punts, and he's very athletic, flashy.
Yeah.
In fact, somebody's shoes that I can't even wear, or sandals I can't fit into, Nick Saban was really high on this guy. Okay. Yeah. And they both take right angles and they hit hard. They can jar it loose on you, man.
Yeah, and you know what? Texas does have one guy in their secondary who I like, Jahdae Barron. I think he's going to be a good shutdown corner, and they're probably going to keep him on Jeremiah Smith as much as they can, because that's their best matchup. But that's what everybody has tried to do all year, and all that does is free Egbuka up to go absolutely wild, because he's a matchup nightmare. And so I can't argue with you. I mean, I see the advantage being for the Ohio State offense. I see the advantage going to the Ohio State defense. I even see the coaching advantage being on the Ohio State sidelines, even though, like I said, people want Ryan Day's head. I don't know that I have them winning by 17, though. I want to be a little bit more conservative, and I'm going to say Ohio State by 14.
By 14?
Yeah.
Okay.
At least.
Right. Hey, there's a player also that's kind of in my spirit, kind of ringing some bells. Let's keep an eye on these two guys.
Sure.
Silas Bolden, he took one back to the house against was Arizona State. And
Okay.
as my football mentor, Coach Herb, that played with the Raiders, would say, and he would smile, he'd say, "Speed kills, baby."
Yes,
And
it
this
does.
kid is electric. Let's keep an eye on that. Also, let's take a look at, or keep an eye, excuse me, on the tight end for Gunnar Helm.
Okay.
I believe he's going to be. I even envision him maybe getting a receiving touchdown because the quarterback's going to have to get dump out to somebody. Okay, this
Yeah.
is what I'm kind of seeing. And he was actually a semi-finalist for the John Mackey Award. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Well, that's kind of impressive. So, let me touch on what you said earlier too. I do think that special teams could play a significant factor in this. And like you said, you got people that can take it to the house. If you can put 6 on the board quick with one of those, that can help your team out tremendously. But you're also going to need some help from your kicker this week. You can't be missing field goals out there that can close games out and win games out. They're here by the skin of their teeth as it is. And if they face any type of hiccup in that game whatsoever, then you can take that 14-point advantage I'm giving to Ohio State and maybe even double it.
I'm glad you mentioned that because as we saw in the last game against Arizona State, 2 hiccups by the kicker for Texas. And I can see something like that playing out and happen again, Ant.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it was nerves for him or, sometimes these guys, remember we talked about playing possum yesterday with some of the injuries for Penn State and Notre Dame. In this game, though, you may have people that have some lingering stuff that they're not divulging fully, and that can really hamper a kicking game like nothing else. A little bust in your hamstring or something tweaked in your knee. Look, you're a former player. You know that better than anybody else. A lot of times, if you get something that you think you can play through, you're going to keep your mouth shut and do it, but maybe you're being a detriment to your team.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'm glad that you brought that up because it's kind of like a God-given gift. I guess you could call it those senses. There's something that tells me in all this that there's going to be some kind of injury. Let's watch for that as well. There's something. I'm glad you mentioned that, Ant, because I was already sensing something like that. I don't want it to happen. We're praying that it doesn't happen, but something's telling me there could be some kind of key injury that happens in this game. Let's see if that intuition is true.
Yeah, unfortunately, that definitely is part of the game. You hate to see it happen. Let's just pray that if something does happen, that it's something that somebody can recover from and recover from quickly. Any closing thoughts?
I think we covered everything, man. I think that we did. Last time we covered this Notre Dame Penn State, we hit the nail on the head, and I'm believing that we're going to do the same thing in this one. It's going to be a shootout, but again, I'm going to stick with 17. You said 14. Ohio State wins and advances to the national championship.
How do you feel about that over/under at 52 points? Is there going to be more or less scored?
What does Vegas have it right now, Ant?
52.
They'll go over that.
Yeah, I believe so too.
Yeah,
I believe we're going to see 30 at least, and that's from the Texans. Maybe we'll see if they can put up that many. So I'm just thinking Ohio State could put up 40 in this game. I think it is possible. We'll see what Ohio State's able to put up on the other
and
side.
Special teams. We've all said that. Let's watch out for some kind of kick return, special teams, punt return, or something like that. Maybe. Let's see.
All right. And we'll catch up after the game. We'll do a recap and give you our final thoughts on it. We appreciate you guys coming. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I always do this. I'm really bad at it. But if you're watching and you've watched this far, we really appreciate you. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. That helps it get out there to more people, and we can all get on board here with the community. Thanks, and God bless. Have a good night.
God bless.